The legend of Dracula began with Bram Stoker's vampire, an immortal count who drinks blood and haunts the night. But behind the fiction was a real man, Vlad the Impaler, a 15th century prince known for his brutal reign and gruesome punishments. His cruelty gave rise to one of history's darkest legends. In the heart of Eastern Europe, where the mountains claw at the sky and dense forests whisper old secrets, a legend was born from blood and vengeance. His name was Vlad Tepes, but history remembers him by a darker title, Vlad the Impaler. To the Ottoman Empire, he wasn't just a man. He was terror given form. Vlad ruled Wallachia, a small kingdom nestled between two giants, Hungary to the north and the mighty Ottoman Empire to the south. Surrounded by enemies, Wallachia was a land of storms, betrayal, and survival. But Vlad wasn't a mere ruler. He was shaped in fire. As a boy, he was taken hostage by the Ottomans, an unwilling guest of the Sultan. There, he studied their customs, their language, and their weaknesses. What returned to Wallachia years later was no longer a boy, but a soul carved by chains and cruelty. He didn't just seek vengeance, he craved fear. In 1456, Vlad seized the throne, not through diplomacy, but through domination. He ruled with absolute brutality. Justice came in flames and iron, thieves were boiled alive, traitors were flayed. But it was impalement that became his signature, a sharpened stake through the body, the victim hoisted high into the air. Death came slow, days of agony, screams that echoed across valleys. Roads leading to Vlad's castles were lined with their corpses, hundreds, sometimes thousands, rotting in the sun. To his people, he was cruel, but the streets were safe. Crime vanished, order reigned. To his enemies, however, Vlad was a demon wearing a crown. Then came the moment that would define his legacy. In 1462, the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II, famed conqueror of Constantinople, demanded tribute, gold, and soldiers. Vlad refused. Not only did he reject the Sultan's demands, he crossed the Danube with fire in his eyes and a sword in his fist, slaughtering thousands of Ottoman troops and settlers. Entire villages burned, no prisoners, no mercy. Infuriated, Mehmed launched a massive invasion. An army vast enough to crush kingdoms marched toward Wallachia. But Vlad didn't meet them head-on. He vanished into the shadows. The Ottomans found only ghost towns. The wells were poisoned, crops burned to ash. Then came the true horror, a forest of the dead. Over 20,000 impaled bodies stretched across the land. Men, women, children, soldiers and peasants alike. Their lifeless eyes stared into eternity. Even the battle-hardened Ottoman soldiers wept. Some vomited. Sultan Mehmed himself turned back. He would not wage war against a man who made death a landscape. But Vlad wasn't finished. That very night, he launched a daring night attack. Cloaked in black, his cavalry moved like wraiths through the trees, guided only by starlight. They struck the Ottoman camp with brutal precision. Tents were set ablaze, horses screamed, panic spread like wildfire. Their mission was singular: kill the Sultan. Vlad cut through enemy lines, inches away from his prize. Before the alarm sounded, foiled, he retreated into the darkness, leaving behind a camp soaked in blood and terror. Though the Ottomans tried again, they could not hold Wallachia. The land belonged to Vlad and to death. He had stopped the greatest empire of the age, not with numbers, but with fear as a weapon. But monsters, even those born of men, rarely die in battle. Vlad's cruelty eventually turned his own people against him. The same nobles who once kneeled before him now plotted in secret. Betrayed and imprisoned, he was dragged into exile. Years passed. His legend faded into rumor. Then, in 1476, he returned for one final stand. His throne reclaimed, he faced his enemies once more, but they were waiting. On a battlefield blanketed in snow, surrounded and outnumbered, Vlad fought like a cursed spirit. Arrows pierced his body. Blood stained the frost. Still, he swung his sword until the very end. When silence fell, Vlad lay dead. His head was severed and sent to the Sultan in a box, proof that the terror was over. But his name refused to die. Centuries later, authors would craft tales of a blood-drinking Count Dracula who slept in coffins and ruled from haunted castles. But the truth was more chilling. The real Dracula didn't need fangs or capes. He had stakes, he had wrath. He ruled not by myth, but by fear carved into flesh. To some, Vlad was a patriot who protected his people from invaders. To others, he was a tyrant with no soul. But to all who dared speak his name, he was unforgettable, the prince who impaled an empire. If you like this story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Thanks for watching.